we seek to love and we get embarrassed, or we are afraid to be turned down. We're overwhelmed by the pressure and the anxiety of the moment, and we pull it back in. Today, if we look at the Beatitudes in that sense that God calls us to love God's self with all our body, our mind, our spirits, our soul, and how God continues then to call us to love each other, our neighbor as ourselves. And neighbor not in proximity, but neighbor, fellow human who is in need. Anybody in need, we are called to love and to provide the wholeness that they themselves are unable to complete. What a blessed vocation. What a blessed task. What an amazing reality when we finally do stumble upon getting it right. And we do experience, even if it's fleeting and even for a moment, the expression of healing and fullness of our neighbor. Or there are those times when we also experience, for fleeting moments, when we actually believe that God does love us. When we fully recognize when we are healed into wholeness by our neighbor who loves us. These are powerful moments. They're overwhelming moments. They're terrifying, they're wonderful, they're fulfilling, they're exactly what we need, and they're exactly what we fear. They are all those things at once. If we read the Beatitudes as, instead of really strange, sort of oxymoronic realities, right? We hear, blessed are those who are poor in spirit, for they shall inherit the kingdom of heaven. If we listen to that in our own world, in our own values, our own pressures, we're like, how in the world is it blessed to be poor in spirit? And great that they inherit the kingdom of heaven, but what about now? Right? And I dare say we've all been closer to poor in spirit than we may have been to recognizing a fulfilling love. But what if we step back from our world values and we truly believe when Jesus says the two greatest commandments are to love God and love your neighbor? And if we begin to experience and begin to trust that love and wholeness isn't what the world suggests that is. When we are loved and when we love fully and wholly, we don't become President of the United States. We don't become J.D. Rockefeller or Uncle Scrooge and get to jump into our room full of money and swim. We don't suddenly wake up with the coolest clothes and the best coiffed hair. The world says, right, you buy a pair of shoes and you can do anything. You eat hamburgers and you'll be healthy and happy. Right? They give us all these misleading pathways to happiness. It is not a mistake that in the Beatitudes, as much as we hear today, blessed are, there are translations that change it from blessed are into happy are. What a curious two words that so often in our lives seem to be opposite themselves, right? When we are happy, we're sometimes concerned maybe we're not blessed at all, or we're not doing something that's blessed. And we find that sometimes our rangefinder for happiness and our rangefinder for blessedness don't necessarily point to the same location. But hear me this morning as I encourage you to hear the Beatitudes in this way, as expressions of us living into our love of God and our love of neighbor. Blessed are those poor in spirit. I think what this means is blessed are those who are disappointed. Not disappointed by what they didn't receive, but disappointed by our love of our neighbor in the intense need that they have. How disappointing is it when we aren't enough? When we can love them with everything we have and we still see them struggle. Blessed are those who are poor in spirit, not because they didn't get everything they've wanted, but because they cannot give everything their neighbor needs. Blessed are those who mourn, not because it's awesome that you're sad, but rather mourning is the proof that you loved. When you love wholly and fully, you risk, you sacrifice, you're vulnerable, and when loss happens, our hearts are broken. Blessed are those whose hearts break, because they are the ones who love enough to risk. Blessed are those who are meek. We don't usually use the term meek, and in our world we ignore them. But what if we look at it this way? Blessed are those who give quietly, who give effortlessly, and then give with effort because they don't stop. They just constantly give. They're that neighbor that surprises you when you come home from vacation with a note saying, "We noticed your inside light was on," or "We noticed your car interior light was on," or "We noticed your lawn needed to be mowed." We noticed. And we addressed. We took care of. We thought of you, and we did it. Those who give quietly without ever being noticed, blessed are you. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, who desire the world to be better, who desire to live a better life, who desire to work and struggle in all aspects of the world to lift up our neighbors, regardless if they're the antagonizer or the defender. All are broken and all require righteousness. All require care and love. Blessed are those who are motivated to do better. Blessed are those who are merciful, those who care, those who recognize when our light is dimmed, those who call us just because, those who smile on a day that we're broken, who hug us on a day we're falling apart. Blessed are those who care. Blessed are those who are pure in heart, who are innocent, who are unwilling to be sullied by the world's frustrations, who are unwilling to be knocked down into a situation where they say, "I will not love again because I can't handle being broken." Blessed are those who are so innocent they get right back up off the fallen bike and get right back on it because they don't know any different. Blessed are those who love and who find themselves not experiencing perfection, but who continue to love and care enough to keep trying, and who are innocent enough to believe the promises that God gives us. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those that are willing to love enough to risk themselves enough to protect those who need it. Our world is so full of those who are in need of protection. The easy ones to figure out are the ones whose bombs are dropping on their homes. The hardest ones to recognize are the ones whose bombs are going off in their private lives. But blessed are those who love enough to seek to protect their neighbor, to give them every advantage and every opportunity they can. And blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Blessed are those when you're reviled or persecuted for your neighbor's sake. Blessed are those who risk themselves to share the news of God, God's love, God's forgiveness, that great news. And blessed are those who are willing to stand up to the loudest and meanest voices in the room so that those who have been bullied will be able to hear God's love and not hear the diminishing of person that bullies seek to give. Blessed are those who sacrifice. Sacrifice their silence. Sacrifice their anonymity. Who sacrifice their protective place by venturing into danger to witness and to rescue. Blessed are those who love enough that it leads to action. Amen.